we talked about like the Disney movie last year, but like now the story is getting even better.
Right.
But wait, there's more.
Welcome to My God Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview Georgia's matchup with the LSU Tigers in the 2022 SEC Championship game. And we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out store.mygodapodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at My God Podcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, AXIATime, at axiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. All right, John, what do you got this evening?
I am drinking a Sazerac in honor of our opponent this week. I'm drinking a Sazerac, the cocktail of New Orleans.
Nice. Okay, well done.
Although, in fairness, I was drinking that for the Georgia Tech preview that we were just doing, and now I'm just drinking the Sazerac Rye because I enjoy it much better.
Got it. Fair enough.
But I've got the Sazerac Rye.
So I didn't do anything that was like friendly to our opponent in that way. This is actually something that I got over Thanksgiving break that I've had before, but I got it in Georgia. I haven't seen it around here lately. So I brought this to our Thanksgiving dinner. So I've got the Long Branch. So that's a not so nice reminder for LSU that they were beaten by a team from Texas this past week. So
nice.
Now they actually have no relation to Texas A&M, so it doesn't quite work because Long Branch, is actually kind of, I don't know if backed is the right word, but that's like the Matthew McConaughey bourbon from Wild Turkey. He's involved there in some shape or form. I'm not exactly sure how, but his name's on the bottle, and he's a Texas guy. But so it didn't quite totally work. But something new I had bought that I hadn't had yet this season. So
yeah. Well, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong if you've got some bourbon in your glass, man.
Yeah, it's a good one. I like Long Branch. I'm a fan. I remember it. I think it actually beat what's the place in South Carolina? Southern Spirits. They have they had a blind taste test. This is a while back, but I know Long Branch beat Blanton's in their blind taste testing. Blind taste testing they had.
Cover your ears, Bobby and John. Blanton's is the most overrated bourbon literally in existence. So
I've still never had it, so I wouldn't know.
You've never had it? Man, just go to one of the bars and when they have it, pay the $20 or whatever that they serve. I mean, I was at we talk about Weller a good bit. I'm a huge fan of Weller. They had at Bar South when I was in Athens last week, and they had the Weller Special Reserve for $8, which is like crazy good price. I mean,
for being out,
I think Woodford Reserve was more expensive than the Weller, which was crazy.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh man. All right. I've got a bit of a dilemma, John.
What's the dilemma?
For my watching schedule. I don't know if we should talk about this later or now. I'm going to bring it up now.
Just go ahead and talk about it now.
Buddy of mine, actually, I know I mentioned this to you. He turned 50 last weekend or weekend before last, and we went out to Top Golf on his actual birthday. But his birthday celebration, his actual birthday party, is this coming Saturday, same day as the SEC championship game. So this is where I say I'm not going to the game. I generally don't go to the SEC championship game, and I'm not going to this one either. But we're going to go play golf in the morning, which is good for me because I like to have something to be not thinking about the game. So that's good. But then everyone's going to go back and watch the game at his house. But I like to watch the game at home. Am I mean? If I don't want to go to my friend's house, watch the game. And he didn't go to LSU or anything like that, but grew up in Louisiana, so he's an LSU fan, but he's not super diehard or anything. So okay. So I'm not out. I'm not being rude by not going. He already told me I don't have to come. He's fine with it, but I'm just double check. I thought I'd double check with you.
I would say that you're well within your rationale to not go to that situation.
Okay. Thank you for backing me up.
Because here's my thing. Everybody that I know that's from Louisiana that says, "Oh yeah, I'm not a huge fan." They're a huge fan. They're a huge fan. Like,
right.
let's this I mean, this is their flagship university of the state, right? Like, there's I
Yeah.
mean, you got Louisiana Tech, but there's no, like, it's not Florida State. There's not Florida. There's not a Mississippi State. There's not a Ole Miss. Like, this is pretty much the the peak of scholastic endeavors in the universe at the state of Louisiana.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you have Tulane, maybe. I guess Tulane's kind of coming on right now. Like, but like, still, like, who do we know from Tulane? Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I can't take anybody from Tulane that has a Green Wave logo on their shirt seriously. So, but yeah, pretty much everybody that I know that is from Louisiana is a Louisiana fan, and they will cheer no matter what. So,
right.
even if they say that they're not a big fan, like, if they jump on Georgia early, or, you know, we come out flat like we did against Georgia Tech, like, you know, you may end up with a Reggie Ball situation.
Fair enough. Okay, I think that's the safe bet. That's where I was thinking, and I liked it. Like, I've got my setup. We want to do our bean dip, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So
I'll put it to you this way. So I had the same kind of dilemma with the Florida game, with having the chili cook-off with the workout crew, because I knew that if I went on time, because they were starting like at 3:00 and we're trying to do the Georgia game, and I was like, if I know if I go on time, that there's going to be guys that are jawing at me that are not fans of either school, and they just want to see me irritated.
Right.
So it's a good thing I didn't go, because I tried to give us a little bit of cushion so I could figure this out a little, how this game was going to go before halftime. So maybe you could do the same thing I did, which is like, see how it's going, and if the game is well in hand, or if there's not too much of a concern, you could just like pop over and just be chill, right? Like, you don't have anything to worry.
It's the same thing.
You could kill two birds with one stone.
Right. Well, it's the same thing with my buddies, because like, I'm the like, oh yeah, it's the guy from Georgia who's obsessed with Georgia, you know, and so like, everyone's gonna be against me. It's the reality, right? So yeah, I don't know that I want to be so much be in that situation.
This must be how Alabama people have felt over the years.
Yes, I have. I always wondered. Okay, fair enough. Okay, thank you for talking me through that.
We're living the dream right now.
We are. So what about you? What are your plans for the weekend?
So Carter actually has a soccer tournament over in Lilburn this weekend. So his Saturday game kicks off at 2:00. His second Saturday game kicks off at 2:00. But
okay,
I don't know. I mean, I saw that the tailgate crew, Greg and them, are having like a scaled down version of it, so that makes it less attractive. And I'm kind of monitoring the prices, because as of, let's see.
What's the get in price? Because I know the price took a big dip when LSU lost to A&M.
I sent you a screenshot of. I use Game Time for tickets, because I find it to be much easier. So it's actually gone up a little bit. So earlier today, it had gotten to like 190 something for like section 300, like 317, 316 or something like that.
Yeah.
It had gotten to under $200 for a get-in price, which I believe the face for these tickets is like, I guess, I don't know, like 140 something. I don't know. But yeah, the prices have definitely gone down, because this time, like a few weeks ago, I think they were like $600 was like the get-in price.
Right.
So they've gone down a good bit. I'm kind of monitoring the price on those tickets to see like what it might look like. But if there's not going to be a big tailgate presence down there from our usual folks, then I may just watch this one at home.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, well, the ticket prices have gone down as the stakes for LSU have gone down. I mean, they were, you know, there was a lot of talk of, if they were to beat Georgia, you know, that they would kind of punch their ticket to the playoff, you know, not knock Georgia out, but have two SEC teams in this year. And man, that got flushed down the drain on Saturday night, which we didn't even really talk about that in the tech review, just the around college football stuff. But because we went back, or I went back to my parents' house. I know like you were spending your time in Athens, so I don't even know if you sat around and watched, but we sat and watched that game, and that was pretty crazy. I mean, they got down behind. They tried to have a bit of a comeback, but too little, too late, and they got outplayed. I mean, it was pretty shocking to watch them do that in that situation with that much on the line. But that's where we always say, I mean, that was exhibit A right there, right? Of the humility is 60 minutes away and 18 to 22-year-olds and any given Saturday, all that stuff. You saw that on full display with LSU last weekend and with Clemson last weekend. Information purposes, because I fully expect the roof to be closed in this game, but looks like it's going to be cloudy, high of 66, low of 54. I did see a chance of rain like early in the morning. So just FYI, if you're going to be out there in the, tailgating in and around Mercedes-Benz, just watch out for that. But no, not super low temperatures by any means. Seems kind of similar to what we dealt with this past weekend in Athens, which was quite nice. So that's all. That's what I got on the matchup. I don't know, John, do you have any fun facts for us today?
Fun facts. I got a few. I think I just dropped one. That LSU pretty much always wears the white jerseys no matter what. They're home and away.
Sure.
Let's go with the Tiger nickname. So do you know where they get the nickname Tigers from, Jim?
I do not.
So it actually is derived from a couple of different sources. The biggest of which, apparently Tigers, like as a nickname, is something that's very it's a long history of Louisiana military prowess or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Of the Tigers. So basically, there's two regiments from the Civil War that fought so ferociously for the Confederacy that they were dubbed the Louisiana Tigers. And so there's that aspect of it. There's a volunteer unit that used the nickname in the Mexican-American War.
Okay.
That was nicknamed the Tigers. And they actually the insignia, like the tiger logo that has the snarling tiger head or whatever. That actually was it was used by LSU, but it came from the Washington Artillery logo. But yeah, so they trace that history back to the 1838.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So the whole Tigers situation is all steeped in military history, which should make sense because the school was originally known as a seminary and military academy, right?
I didn't know that either. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know much of the history of LSU, to be honest.
I mean, I don't either. I'm trying to see what was the actual? Yeah, so it was founded in 1853 under the name Louisiana State Seminary of Learning and Military Academy.
Interesting.
And was actually located near Pineville, Louisiana.
Okay.
Yes. So know your enemy. They've been around for a while. The Fighting Tigers of LSU are steeped in military history. Another fun fact: they have not always been the Tigers. All of that Tiger history. Their first mascot was actually a greyhound.
Interesting.
You may not have known that. A greyhound. Yeah. 1896, the LSU had its first mascot was a greyhound named Drum. It was just a pet of LSU cadets that were there at the time, I guess.
Nice.
Everybody knows Mike the Tiger. He's the only live mascot that lives on campus and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Another kind of interesting fact. The official colors are royal purple and old gold. That's actually their second choice of colors, which is something that's interesting from everything that we talked about with Kentucky.
Right.
That was a little bit different. They used to be yellow and blue. Well, similarly, the first official school colors of LSU were blue and white.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm not sure. I mean, that's just, I don't have a story behind that or whatever, but
Yeah.
their first official colors were blue and white. I probably should look into that. Maybe can recap that on, because it's interesting because purple and gold is always associated with the entire state of Louisiana. I feel like with Mardi Gras and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess the royal purple and old gold was first associated in 1883 with the Corps of Cadets. They basically presented a flag. They were presented a flag by a ladies' organization in Baton Rouge. The flag had the image of the pelican and the state coat of arms, and it was reported to be purple and silk fringed with gold.
Nice.
So that's like where they got that from. As far as like the officially, like how it officially kind of came about, it was actually from baseball. They donned those colors in 1893 playing baseball against Tulane.
So they have been there for, I mean, they've been there for a long time still.
It's still had been there for a while, and I guess that like the band director, as many like school traditions were involved in these things. So there's a number of people like band, football, quarterback, governor. They decided to change the school colors they decided to change LSU's official colors back in like 1893. Like there's multiple stories, but that's effectively what happened. So,
and a reminder, John, if there were uniform police around back then, they would not be purple and gold.
right. Exactly. Yeah, those are some of the quick facts.
Nice. There are some like Georgia LSU and SEC championship things that I think they'll kind of come up in the listener questions later. So I will just point out one, because a lot of them are like not so fun. So my fun fact on the matchup stuff is that Kirby Smart / Georgia is 2-0 against Brian Kelly, having faced him twice before. Obviously when he was at Notre Dame. So I'll just add that one. Let's hit the news and notes. I don't have a ton of news and notes, but do have a few. One, I guess we don't so much have to totally get into this, but Auburn has a new coach. So Auburn hired Hugh Freeze today, former Ole Miss coach, who was unceremoniously let go there and has been at Liberty. It sounded like there was that was rumored days ago. Obviously Lane Kiffin was the big rumor. He always insisted he was not going to go there. Hugh Freeze emerged shortly after. Sounded like there was some pushback from some fans, I believe, not wanting to hire Freeze because of his past transgressions, I'll say. But I guess that failed ultimately. I mean, if you got an opportunity to match up Hugh Freeze with Bruce Pearl at Auburn, it seems like a match made in heaven to me. I think it fits. It's a very Auburn thing to do. So it kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, whatever. Auburn's upside down world.
John, I think maybe what you were trying to say was, oops, I accidentally did the long one. Okay, we can move on from them. Let's see. So Kirby there wasn't a whole lot that came out in Kirby's press conference, but the main thing I'll point out is that he seemed a little feisty in his press conference today, because there's a couple of times when he like kind of pushed back. So like like sometimes someone will try to ask like a scheme question, and he never likes those. So someone asked a question, something around like how Stetson like progresses through his reads or something along those lines, and like he was not having it. He was basically just started going into like how there's too much and like he can't explain it all in a press conference or whatever, and he kind of moved on. So that I think that happened first, and then later on, someone asked him about Marvin Jones Jr. So like he was injured in the Tech game, and he got a little feisty on that one. It was just like all you guys want to talk about is injuries and all these kinds of things. So I don't know. I guess it was kind of one of sometimes you kind of catch Kirby on one of those days, and he doesn't want to go into things. So seems like today was one of those days. So apologies to the hopefully the media people were able to make it through it. So I thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Like there was other stuff. There was some sets and questions and these questions or whatever, but there was no other like injury updates or anything like that.
There's no AD Mitchell questions?
No, I saw nothing about AD Mitchell. So I didn't see anything about that. Nice. I'm sure he's hopeful to get him back. We're hopeful. Say. Now on the LSU side, Brian Kelly has been consistently asked about Jaden Daniels. So Jaden Daniels, LSU's quarterback, went down multiple times in that game. He went down and it didn't look good, but then he was suddenly back in the game fine the next series. It happened twice that I recall. Apparently he has been seen wearing a boot on whichever foot is injured or leg. And I know he was in a boot on Sunday. Today, Brian Kelly said he would be in a boot again today. Again, we're recording on Monday. But we do know that they did some scans on his ankle for a high ankle sprain, and those were negative. So that's not there. But I know Brian Kelly said he was optimistic that Jaden Daniels could practice on Tuesday. So I'm just kind of going off the whole, like, he kept coming back into the game. He finished that game against A&M. So I'm assuming, like, I've looked at all this stuff, just assuming that he's going to go based off that. Although who knows, things could change, I guess, as the league progresses.
Well, I guess that means that we need to figure out what the backup quarterback situation looks like for them, right?
Right. Yes, we do.
Do you know who the backup quarterback is for the Fighting Tigers?
I do, actually.
Let's go.
Shall we? Okay, so let's actually. Oh, that was later. But I do. Yeah. So his it is Garrett Nussmeier. He's
yes.
Yes.
It was the son of.
Sorry, you caught me drinking my bourbon.
Sorry.
Now wait, I'm blanking.
Are you serious? I thought that. I thought this was all like a lead into like you knew.
No, I mean I had the roster up in front of me, or I had like the ESPN stats of it in front of me. Why am I blanking? Who's his dad?
His dad is Doug Nussmeier.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Who is a like he played at Idaho. He was like he's the quarterback's coach for the Cowboys right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say I knew he was in coaching now.
Yeah, he played for the Saints. Like he's got ties to LSU, so his son is at LSU. Let's see, he was offensive coordinator of Florida for like several years.
That's what I was thinking of.
He was offensive coordinator at Alabama and quarterbacks coach back in the famed 2012 season.
Right.
So yeah, that the Nussmeier family is a famous family. Nice.
Yeah, and it looks like I think we offered his son a scholarship. Apparently, at any rate, cool. All right, let's see. We can get into the game a bit, I suppose.
I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim, I'll go ahead and give you the glory on this one. What are the game notes for this game?
Protect the football.
Protect the football, and then
win the game. Yes, that is it.
So wise dog, if you're listening, you can probably end the podcast now. Like, protect the ball, and we win.
This is where
literally that's literally been that's been our modus operandi or whatever.
Yeah.
All season long.
Yeah. This is where we get burned by not having an outro. Like, our episode just ends with Go Dogs saying it. Like, if we had an outro, it could be like, "This has been My God, a Podcast." Well, we can fake the ending of that.
Exactly.
We cannot do that because we don't do that. But yeah, I mean, I guess just kind of think about like the offense. So when Georgia has the ball, I'll call out some defensive players for LSU. So you've got BJ Ojulari, if that name sounds familiar, it is because he is Aziz's younger brother. He's a defensive end. He's got 5 sacks on the season. Harold Perkins Jr., linebacker, leads LSU with 7.5 sacks. That's third most in the SEC. Watch out for this guy. He is very good. He was very disruptive in the Alabama game. So he's definitely one to watch, for sure. I mean, I feel like I'm not sure I could definitely say he's their best defensive player. I mean, Ojulari is very good as well, but I don't know. Perkins is definitely he jumps off the screen at you. And then Micah Baskerville is linebacker. He's their leading tackler with 73 tackles. So just some guys to be on the lookout for from LSU. But I mean, no, you're right. Like, as far as like what are we going to be looking for our offense? Yeah, I mean, it's protect the football. I mean, it's the same thing we've been talking about. One thing I will say is something I'm excited about is the fact that this game is being played at Mercedes-Benz. I'm assuming the roof will be closed. We're playing in a temperature controlled environment, and I think Stetson plays better when that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw him. Think if you go back to like end of last year, he was amazing in the Orange Bowl. I know that's open air, but it's in Miami, right? Or right close to Miami. He was the MVP of the Orange Bowl. He was the MVP of the national championship game, played indoors. And then he got off to a roaring start against Oregon in this very same stadium. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to see what Stetson can do in the Benz on Saturday.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. I don't know that this is going to be the Stetson Bennett game that we're looking for. These are not the droids you're looking for, but I guess
Sure.
we'll get to that, and I guess we'll get to that in a little bit. So are we talking LSU defense, UGA offense? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. So we kind of are looking for that. So you could talk about that now if you want.
Okay. I mean, this is an interesting game for me because number one, you've got first year head coach, Brian Kelly thrust into the SEC championship against arguably the best offense defense combination in the country, in the Georgia Bulldogs. You've got a couple of games running now where you've got teams that have shown the pathway to potential success. Is apparently stopping Stetson, the prolific passer Stetson Bennett, the ever dangerous mailman,
Right.
and relying on the running game. So you look at some of the stats here, like I'm looking at, they're basically, I mean, they're fairly pedestrian. LSU's total defense, they're ranked 35th in the country in total defense. Georgia's number 4 by comparison. A couple of teams of note, Kentucky is ranked 20th in total defense. Then when you look at LSU's passing defense is probably their strongest side. They're allowing 204 yards per game passing, which is kind of on par with what Stetson does. I don't know if you have those averages up there for us, Jim. By comparison, Georgia is ranked 22nd in passing defense. A similar opponent that you might be, curious about, South Carolina has a better passing defense than LSU by the numbers.
Okay.
Kentucky is ranked number 7 in the country in passing defense. I'm trying to look through here. Then you look at the rushing defense. That's where I think that, when I say like these are not the droids you're looking for, LSU ranks behind Mississippi State in rushing defense per game. They're giving up 144 yards per game on the ground.
And they're coming off a game where, A&M ran all over them. So Achane had over 200 yards himself on the ground against LSU last week for A&M.
Right. Yep, that's kind of what I'm wondering here. So by comparison, Missouri has their defense is allowing 127 yards per game. I'm trying to look at some other comparables. Tennessee was allowing 111 yards per game. So I guess that Tennessee game might be of interest for folks, because if your thought process is to stop the UGA passing attack, I don't necessarily think that Tennessee did that. So like the passing game was the running game was not such a problem for us versus Tennessee. So if you are inclined to try to stop if you're inclined to try to stop the UGA offense by shutting down Stetson, I still think that there's opportunities for us against LSU in the run game. So I guess I'm not too concerned. Kentucky, LSU is ranked 59 and Kentucky was ranked 63 in rushing yards per game. So I'm sure that we'll get to some of those score, how does Georgia impact the opponent? But I think that the way that the numbers and the way that our pattern the last few games nets out is that it's probably very timely. And we mentioned this a few weeks ago, that Kendall Milton coming on was going to be an important aspect as we get into the stretch of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I am wearing a Run the Damn Ball t-shirt tonight, and that was intentional. So I definitely agree. I came with that thought process as well. I just was, my point was more about like the weather, right? Instead, so curious there, but
well, yeah,
but on the same note, right? Like Kenny McIntosh also had an incredible game against Oregon in the opener, and he has really come along of late. Yes. Right. I still go back to that. And my dad and I were talking about this this weekend. Like, go back to since he fumbled in the Florida game, he has been lights out. Like it's like he flipped a switch after that. I think it was like he got mad at himself or whatever when he fumbled that ball. And like, because in that game, he was lights out for the rest of that game, and he's maintained that ever since. So I'm looking for Kenny McIntosh. We saw him have a huge game in Mercedes-Benz in the opener. I'm looking for him to do that here again as well. And then I guess my only other question is like, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're looking at the Oregon game for a comparison point, Oregon ranks 31st in the country for rushing defense. They're giving up 125 yards per game. Oregon. Yeah, Oregon has a terrible passing defense. They're ranked 106th in the country. So
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you can draw there, but I'm just trying to find some comparables here since not too many common opponents. But overall, it just seems like that this is going to ultimately come down to, can the UGA offense protect the ball and win the game?
Yeah, no, that's all there is. I mean, they did play. They common opponents. I mean, they beat Auburn. They lost to Tennessee. They beat Florida. So there's some there for you. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only other thing I'd say for the offense, just curious to see, like, I don't know what some of the like who's on the other end of those receptions and what folks can do. Right? Like, do we see a big game from Brock Bowers? Do we see a big game from Ladd McConkey? Anyone there? Not sure, but I do think you're right. Like, I think they're probably going to try and take the passing game away, and we'll see how successful they are at that. But I think even if they have some success there, I think the running game has really come on of late and should be fine and predictable. So,
yeah, we've talked about it. So if you want my opinion, like moving forward, based on everything that we've seen to date this season, based on everything that I've seen. If you want to beat this Georgia team, you're going to have to hope that turnovers go your way, referees go your way. You're going to have to hope that you can stop Stetson from passing the ball, shut down the pass, and force the run game. You have to hope that you can stop the run game when you're dropping all those people in coverage.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to hope that every time you throw the ball deep to Kelee Ringo, he gets a pass interference.
It sounds like a segue into the defense, John.
I mean, you could segue. You could segue.
I think we should.
Yeah, I mean, this team is going to shut down the run no matter what happens. I don't care if they break a one long run or whatever, or the running back bust loose, or the quarterback bust loose for a big play. Like, on the whole, over the course of 4 quarters, the run game is where your team is going to go to die. And the pass game, like I said, like, I mean, who are you going to throw it? Who are you going to throw it to? If you want success against this UGA defense, you're going to have to hope that somebody gets lost in coverage over the middle, which we saw Tech do a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like they had wide open opportunities in the middle of the field where someone got crisscrossed, and some of that was in garbage time and some of it was at the, with starters in.
Yep.
You're going to have to hope that every time you throw it deep that Keeley doesn't turn around and catch the ball or pass interference. Those are the types of things you're looking for, because if you're going to try to throw it against Javon Bullard, if you're going to try to throw it against Starks or Chris Smith, like, good luck, man. Like, yeah. I mean, I think Kamari Lassiter. I mean, there's a reason that people have been throwing and targeting Kelee Ringo. I mean, Graham had a great post on Dog Central that really kind of underscored how I've felt this entire 4 or 5 games. Is that, yeah, dude, it's frustrating as hell watching Kelee Ringo sometimes do these what the heck are you doing out there kind of plays. But then, a few plays later or a few quarters later, he's either intercepting the ball or deflecting the pass or coming up with a bang third down coverage play. And so it is what it is. He may get burned, but he also may come up with an interception that's a pick six that wins you the national championship.
Well played. Well said.
I mean, seriously, that's literally who he is. He's the only weak link in this entire secondary. You may get lucky and, Tech did and run a play that showed an inkling of hope that if you can hit it on all the right strides, that you might be able to get a big play against this team. But they're not going to break loose. This team is built to shut down the big play. I just don't see it happening for him, man. I don't see any of it happening.
Well, and if Kelee Ringo is your weak link, you got a pretty strong chain. I'll say that. On as far as LSU's offense, I mean, the whole thing runs through Jaden Daniels. The whole offense is built around him, which, by the way, he's a transfer from Arizona State. So he's 238 of 347 on the year, 68.6% completion percentage. He's thrown for 2,566 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He is also the team's leading rusher. So like I said, everything runs through this guy. He's got 174 carries for 824 yards on the ground and 11 more rushing touchdowns. They've got 3 running backs that you'll see running the ball. Josh Williams is a leading rusher amongst them, but he's coming off a knee injury. He's probable for this game, but he has been out of late. But then you've got Noah Cain and one-time Georgia commit John Emery Jr. They've been kind of carrying the load at running back lately. But like you said, that's kind of what we were built to do is shut down the run. I will say on this, we're going to have to play, assignment sound football. Don't let him break contain. Don't let him beat us with his legs and scrambling or extending plays, all that kind of stuff. And we need to get this guy to the ground. So can't let, Jaden Daniels be slippery and getting out of sacks, that kind of stuff. On the receiving core, so the leading receiver on yardage is Malik Neighbors, 56 catches for 726 yards and a touchdown. But Teray Jenkins leads the team with 5 touchdown catches. Keyshawn Butte is probably the biggest name a lot of people are familiar with if you're following recruiting. He's a big name guy, and he's a big time player, but is not the leading receiver on the team by any means. So just some guys to look out for on their offense.
Okay, so on since we're still talking about their offense, so I will throw out a name. You mentioned the running quarterback, and I had a thought, and I wanted to see, because I didn't look at this beforehand. So you just mentioned that. So if your team's MO is to have a leading rusher, leading passer, quarterback, I do not like your odds there, man.
Meaning against Georgia?
Against Georgia, you're not going to have a whole lot of success against Georgia if that's the case, because this team is so fast. There's I imagine that the quarterbacks, per game stats here are going to take a huge hit. That said, offensive coordinator is Mike Denbrock, who incidentally was also the offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bearcats when Georgia struggled against them in the bowl game, which take with that what you will. But the guy obviously can put together a pretty decent offensive approach because they troubled us, right? He also worked for Notre Dame they worked for Notre Dame previously as well as an offensive coordinator. He was offensive coordinator, wide receiver, tight end, assistant head coach, all those kinds of things back in when Brian Kelly was kind of had some of his renaissance of the Notre Dame program.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, like that gives me a little bit of pause, but at the same time, like if your quarterback is the main focus, we have a long history of really getting in the face of those people. Hendon Hooker, Bryce Young, name your quarterback that has gone to die at this UGA defense.
Well, AR-15, right? There's another one I'll add to the mix as far as the season.
I mean, is AR-15 really a benchmark for?
I'm just saying he's a guy runs a lot. So, or he was
Spencer Rattler. Rattler is another quarterback that is like come on strong. Will Levis, I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, why don't we take a moment to remind everyone that season 3 of My God Podcast is presented by Oxia Time. Oxia Time is a custom watch company. You've got to go check out their 2021 Georgia National Championship timepieces. These are custom timepieces. They are officially licensed by both the College Football Playoff and the University of Georgia. John and I both have the stainless steel version. There's also a blackout version, and now there's a ladies version as well. So be sure to go and check all the timepieces out at oxiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. And John, I believe there's somewhere else that folks can potentially get a look at these. There may be a new ad coming out in a certain publication.
Yes, and it is SEC Championship Week. If you are a subscriber or pick up the Bulldog Illustrated, make sure you check through, peruse. You might find a familiar watch. Check them out.
Nice. Awesome. And then also right now, Oxia Time is also partnering with Bulldogs Battling Breast Cancer. So, we had Dwight from BBBC on for our Vanderbilt preview episode. They're also partnering right now. So you can use the code BBBC10 and get 10% off of one of these watches and help support a great cause as well. So like we said, go check them out, oxiatime.com. All right, let's see. Special teams wise, unless you had anything else on the defense. Sorry, I kind of jumped into that, but I feel like we kind of ran through it. I guess one other thing I'll just say, like Jalen Carter obviously has also been, I'll say dominant since he came back from injury. So look for him to be a big factor with that quarterback play there as well. So,
I don't have anything. Is there, what was the special, is there usually with LSU, there's an Australian punter that's of note.
So that's a good question. I know their punter is a guy named Jay Bramblett. I did see that he is 4th in the SEC on punt yard average at 44.3 yards. But John, I've got a bonus fun fact for you. Did you know that per the ESPN punter rankings, Brett Thorson is not even eligible to be included in those punting rankings, because to be included, you must average 2.5 punts per game, and his average is too low on punt volume. So he can't be included in their rankings. So I thought that was kind of funny. So if you go to ESPN and look at their their specialty rankings, there are only 13 punters listed because Thorson can't be included because we don't punt enough. So
I just looked at that. He is currently ranked number 30 in the country for punt average. And as I peruse the number of punts, I'm like 51, 30, 50, 50, 50, 60, 75, 37, 43, 44. Then you get down to number 30 with Georgia. He's only punted 29 times.
That's insane. That's
If
insane.
you were to rank that, dear listener, if you were to rank that for number of punts all season long, Georgia ranks 128
Yeah.
out of 131
Nice.
in punt attempts all season long.
I like it. I like it. So yeah, let's see. And then their place kicker is a guy named Damian Ramos. He is 45 of 47 on extra points, and he's 9 of 12 on field goals. Although, Brian Kelly doesn't always like to go for extra points. Sometimes likes to go for 2. Like when he went for 2 down 15 points against A&M last week. I don't know if you even saw that, because I don't know how much of that game you saw. But they're down 21 points. So 3 touchdowns, you get a tie, right? They scored a touchdown and then went for 2. I didn't get it. Apparently it's some kind of analytics thing, but didn't make sense to me. Whatever.
Well, based on the numbers there, LSU they're ranked number 66 in the country in terms of field goal percentage. So they're 75% on the season. They're averaging 1 field goal per game.
Yeah.
Georgia, by comparison, is currently ranked number 11 in the country in terms of field goal percentage. So they're making 92% of their field goals, and we're averaging 2.2 attempts per game. We're making 1. So if it comes down to it, I really hope that Kirby looks at them going for it in a crunch situation, because they just aren't really making that many attempts. So
yeah,
if you look at it from an attempts perspective, LSU ranks 117 in the country in the number of attempts that they've made, which is obviously really low out of 131. So
number of field goal attempts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it. Gotcha.
Yeah, they've only attempted 12 field goals on the season.
Yeah.
Georgia by comparison ranks number 4 in the country in terms of field goal attempts, which #goal line situations.
Yeah, seriously.
Maybe those are not identity plays.
Yeah, seriously.
Maybe the field goal on the goal line is the identity play.
Don't say that. All right, let's move on to listener questions. First up, Will Kaplan. Although I feel like this one might take too long. First off, I love that he had a clarifying question on how to even ask his question. Will knows us all too well. He said, in what format would you like your holiday meets question? And you told him power rankings. So he said it's a little tough. He said, because it's dependent on your family. He said, A, it's dependent on your family. And then he said, and B, I'm Jewish. He said, but here is the first draft. So he wants us to rank turkey for Thanksgiving, hamburger. Why did I say that like that? Hamburger for the 4th of July. A hot dog for 4th of July, also steak for a flex summer holiday, brisket for Passover. And I know we usually do ham, I would say, for Easter. He's got ham for Christmas, agreed. Barbecue pork for Memorial or Labor Day. Then he said we can add in fried chicken as a flex for game days. America's favorite fall holiday series. I know you've probably got turkey way low, right? Because you're not a turkey guy.
Turkey is literally the bottom of the barrel.
I'm intrigued by introducing brisket onto a holiday, because I don't associate brisket with a holiday in general, but this intrigues me.
Well,
I do love
I guess
brisket.
From my perspective, I was expecting this to be a power rankings of literally Christmas season or holiday. Winter holiday season meats ranked for Christmas dinner and
gotcha.
But this is overall, so now I have to factor in the time of year that I'm eating this. But generally speaking, I mean, steak is going to be my number 1, hands down. Steak, brisket, pork, followed by hamburger, followed by hot dog, and then unfortunately, followed by ham, and then turkey. So. Ham and turkey are low on my total poll. Oh, fried chicken, I forgot about that. Fried chicken would be probably underneath my hamburger ranking. But yeah.
I'll say we actually usually do, so like for Christmas, we usually do like we'll do a prime rib, and I'll make it on the
prime
big green
rib,
egg.
yeah.
So yeah,
I'd say that's solidly in the steak
in the steak
category.
category. Yeah. So for me, agreed. That's one. I'd probably go that one. I mean, shoot, probably take a hamburger at 2.
Ooh.
I
So
love a hamburger.
you're ranking hamburger above brisket? Dang,
Well,
bro.
but I just don't associate brisket with a holiday personally. So
Yeah, but brisket's amazing.
oh,
I
it is
don't
amazing. It is, but I just don't put it there. I actually am pretty high on a ham. I like a good ham. But I'm gonna put barbecue pork next. I think then ham, and then I guess a hot dog, and then turkey. I'm with you. I'm not a big turkey person. I basically eat turkey at Thanksgiving, and that's it. So
yeah, seriously.
Other than a turkey sandwich, right?
Yeah,
so,
like a sliced turkey sandwich.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, we're in agreement there. Let's see. JT, the dog father, he's been a guest on my God podcast. Will corn dogs be on the tailgate menu this week?
Absolutely. My kids love a good corn dog, so I'm definitely going to have corn dogs on the agenda for the evening. Matter of fact, my wife did a grocery order, so I may have to do my own corn dog situation.
I hadn't thought of it. JT, thank you for asking this question, because I had not thought of that, and that sounds perfect. Something easy to do on a game day. Love it. And yeah, and that's actually something that we can all agree on that we like. Now, the only trick for us is, Kim's gluten-free, but you can find there are gluten-free corn dogs out there that we're usually able to find for her. So I think we should be able to do that.
But aren't they like by definition like gluten-free corn?
No, not necessarily. It depends. Corn, yes, corn itself is, but like the corn meal, right? So it depends. It depends on and I forget. There's a cornmeal versus cornmeal mix. So the cornmeal mix has flour in it, actually, which is what they tend to be dipped in. So like
the Jiffy.
Yeah. There is gluten-free Jiffy. There is, but you can't just assume that they all are. FYI. All right, let's see. Next up, 51-7 GATA. Which win over LSU did you enjoy the most? So he's got a list here. These are in chronological order. He's got 1998, which he says that got game day to Athens. So that was my freshman year. That was Quincy Carter, his coming out party at LSU back in 1998. 1999 with the white pants. John, you probably don't even remember that one. 2004. LSU takes a knee at the 1. That was on the kickoff return that happened. 2005, DGD, DJ Shockley. 2008, Daryl Gamble had a pick 6 twice. And then in 2013, what a game / environment. What's yours, John? Do you have a top amongst those?
2005, bro.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be yours.
Yeah.
You love you some DJ Shockley.
I was there. Loved DJ. It was amazing.
Yep.
Which one was the one we blew them out in Sanford?
So that was 2004.
It had to have been 2004, yeah.
Yeah, so that's 2004, and that was that was Saban was still there that year. They were coming off a national.
That'd be a close second.
Yeah, they were coming off a national championship. That game was loud.
Only because. So I'll get 2005. Obviously, like UGA love. 2004, like I was absolute savage my senior year. That was my senior year. Mm-hmm. I remember like giving so much hell to the LSU fans that were there because there were 2 dudes that were dressed in pimp suits, like bowler, like purple and gold, like pimp. Like they look like Harry and Lloyd coming in from Dumb and Dumber, like rolling into the cocktail party in a purple and gold suit with bowler hats and canes. Like they just looked like absolute morons, and they were both just head and hands, just in absolute distraught sadness over getting absolutely hosed in Athens.
That's funny.
I'll never forget that. That was amazing.
I'm gonna go with 2013. He said what a game environment. That one, it was a crazy environment. That's one of the 2004 also. So 4 and 13. Some of the loudest I've ever heard Sanford. But so I'm going to go with 13. That one gave us Lauren Smith's letter to Larry in the paper the next day, I think, which was excellent. And Coach Rick like cried in the post game, like on the field interview. Because it was right after Paul Oliver had. So I'm going to go with 2013. That was pretty awesome. And 51-7 GTA, his was 2005. That was his pick. And also shout out, we didn't mention this in the tech review, but 51-7 GTA stopped by our seats post game tech. So I think you got to meet him at Oregon game, but
I did.
Always good to stop by. Always good to stop by. Which man, again back. Well, we'll talk about this one later.
We forgot to talk about Coach Trill.
That's what I was just gonna say. I was gonna say we can we'll talk about that when we do the over unders. We'll talk about that. Okay. Help me remember, John.
Okay.
John Michael D. So my sister's birthday is December 7th. Dad got an in for tickets to the 2005 and 2002 SEC championship games, but we had to stay at home for her birthday party. Am I obligated to forgive her yet? I mean, I think statute of limitations, John, I think it's been long enough. I think you can forgive your sister at this point.
Probably.
Let's see. Dog Anon. Please trash talk Bama and Tennessee fans for some more arguing about who deserves the number 6 spot. The number 6 spot turning into 5 at best. So, John, I did put in here what the college football rankings were last week. A link to that. So we had Bama was at 7. Tennessee was at 10. So Tennessee had already dropped, right? So yeah, that's where we had talked about like thinking a little bit too much around the playoff and not even thinking, kind of forgetting they had to play South Carolina. Here's what I'm going to say. The only disappointing thing I'm going to say here is Alabama has not been eliminated yet, unfortunately. There's a chance. They still have a chance. I hate it. And
there's a Twitter follow that you guys could probably check out. I'd have to go and look, but there's been a weekly kind of tweet that goes out with an infographic on the percentages of making the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And while there's still a chance, it is incredibly slim.
For Alabama?
For Alabama, yeah. Like less than 20% chance.
Okay. Yeah. Where
I'd have to go back and look. So Georgia has like a 99% chance of making the playoff.
Yeah.
You linked the old one, or
they haven't come out yet this week.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, let's assume Michigan's going to be ranked number 2. So
yeah,
TCU's ranked number 3, and then you've got USC.
That's the thing, man. Yeah, I would assume USC's going to be 4.
USC's going to be ranked number 4.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because LSU lost.
I mean, you're probably going to have I would assume you'll have Ohio State at 5, but then you have Bama.
State's going to be 5. Yeah.
Then you have Bama at 6. So
Clemson's dropping, Oregon's dropping, Tennessee will probably move up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, like, I don't know.
I'm just saying. I thought they were eliminated, but just reminder that it's nearly impossible to eliminate Alabama from the playoff until the last final second because the committee is like obsessed with them for some reason. So they never go away. And this is when I'll take a quick moment to remind you that once the playoff expands, you're never going to get rid of Alabama. You're never going to be able to eliminate them. Although for that matter, you won't be able to eliminate us, I guess, either. So I guess it kind of is what it is. But
at this point, we've become the Thanos.
Yes.
I am inevitable.
I like it. All right. Next up, friend of the show, Tim Riley, miserable Minnesota. Does this one feel different with a natty under the belt and not playing Bama? Team more relaxed, maybe heading to the playoffs, just let her rip and whoop them Tigers. What do you think about the mindset heading into this, John? Is it different, say, from last year?
Yeah, it's different. Just because the fact that you're going to hear a lot about like this team has an opportunity to accomplish something that the last year's team was not able to do. And last year's team was national champions and they were not SEC champions. So Kirby Smart has never won against LSU. He is currently 0-2?
Georgia,
or
yeah.
1-3? I can't remember.
Let's see. So there's for Kirby. So let's see. There's the 2019 SEC championship loss, and then there's the 2018 loss at LSU. I think that's it. So I think 0-2.
Yeah. So so LSU is one of 3 SEC teams, or one of 3 teams that he's played against, that he's coached against, that he's not won against. Right.
Ole
Miss beat us in 2016. LSU, as Jim just mentioned, just beat us, previously as well. And then Texas obviously beat us in the Sugar Bowl.
Yep.
Which doesn't really count, but whatever. But yeah, so Kirby Smart is definitely going to be looking to tick that box and leave Ole Miss and potentially hit for the cycle on all SEC teams next season. So this team is going to have an edge that Kirby's going to create for those factors alone.
Yeah, I agree. And I think also just continuing to try to balance that scale on Georgia in the SEC title game in general. I mean, all time we're 3-6 in a title game. We're 1-3. The 1-3, John, that you were mentioning, that's not the Kirby. That's Georgia's 1-3 against LSU all time in the SEC championship game. So try to get that more back towards 500. But I agree. I mean, I think I don't know that they're more. I don't know that the relaxed is the word I would use there. Because I think like last year they had a cushion. I think they have the same cushion this year, where you could like, you don't have to win this game to get in the playoff. But I think it's more that edge, like you said, being able to accomplish something that last year's team didn't. To me, that's what gives them the mental edge right there. So, all right, let's see. Zach SE Dog 864. You think Ryan Kelly secretly practices the Southern accent when no one's around?
Yes.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, like where I'm not sure where that would have come from. And then he said, also, who do you think on defense is best skilled to spy Jaden Daniels?
What?
Who on our defense is best skilled to spy Jaden Daniels, their quarterback?
Jamin Dumas Johnson.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm curious to see if we do that. I'm not sure that's how we will handle it, but I think that's the right answer.
There's going to be some spying for sure. I mean, I don't see how you don't, right? Like, just because there's just so much involved with stopping him that they're going to be put into a position where they're probably going to have to do it.
Yeah, and he's the one. And by the way, I mean, he's a Butkus Award finalist, which is pretty amazing for his first year as a starter. So he's having a heck of a year. Fletcher Proctor, does this game count on the Kirby Revenge Tour because it's LSU, or does Ed Orgeron need to be involved?
Did they beat us in the past?
Yeah, he's talking about the 2019 when they waxed us in the SEC championship game. So yeah, I say yes. I say it does count. Whether the fact that Orgeron is gone does not matter to me. So I vote yes. And then he said, likewise, is Kirby hoping Hugh Freeze gets the Auburn job to avenge the 2016 Ole Miss loss? So, John, you actually just talked about that, about being able to potentially avenge the Ole Miss job or Ole Miss game next year, because we play Ole Miss next year, so that he could get a double. Because when Fletcher asked this, that hadn't actually happened, but that is now reality. So I'm going to go with yes. All right. Let's see. Aaron King. Do you guys think AD Mitchell will make an impact this Saturday? Impact is going to be tough. I think we might see him on the field. We've talked about like kind of comparison to George Pickens' timeline. The difference is last year George Pickens like actually got in, had like he made the snap count against Georgia Tech last year. AD Mitchell stepped on the field, but he did not make the snap count because the one play he was on the field for didn't happen because we called timeout.
He was trying to.
He wanted to be on the field because like we talked about, he was mad when they called timeout. But impact, I'm going to say no. I think we'll see him. I think we'll see him. Since we saw him against Tech, I think we will. I could be wrong. And that's no insider information. That's just me guessing. But impact, I think, is too much to ask at this point.
Yeah.
All right. Georgia asks, what is Kirby's message to the team to not overlook after LSU lost to Texas A&M? The Dogs have been guilty of sleepwalking through a few halves of games. They don't want to get snake bit. Daniels can ball when he is on. Go Dogs. I think, John, it's what you just said. I think it's you have the opportunity to do something that last year's team couldn't do, and that's win the SEC championship. That's it right there for me.
Yeah, win the SEC championship. If you do that, you can show up to the alumni meetings afterwards and flash the SEC championship ring to Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith. All those are Nakobe Dean and all those guys that graduated. The 15, Georgia graduated 15, NFL draft picks. Show it to all 15 of them. Hey, you guys couldn't win this. It's mine now.
Fair enough. All right, let's see. Then we've got Chad Jarvis. Thoughts on the season as a whole? Do you think we go further into the playbook than we have over the past 3 games, aka back to how we played against Oregon in South Carolina? So I think we talked about that a little bit earlier around like, have we been holding back, etc. I mean, I think we may. It's an SEC championship game, so I expect we'll probably see some wrinkles. You tend to do things like that in a big game like this, but I'm not sure how much I totally buy the holding things back. I think the other thing is too, is like, if you look at as far as Oregon, like that's a game where we had a fully healthy AD Mitchell, right? And we haven't had him. Now, we didn't have him against South Carolina either. So if you're talking Oregon / South Carolina, I can't really make that comparison there so much, but I don't know. I mean, I think at this point, maybe some title game wrinkles, but I'm not sure how much else we're going to see.
I think what you're going to see is poking and prodding for a while. You're going to see some tight defense from LSU for sure. Because, I mean, what I would say is, like, let's just basically think of the game that we played against Notre Dame, when we went to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But we this time have players for days that can run across the 2 deep, 3 deep, and play at a high level.
Basically,
I just don't think that they're going to be able to keep up.
Yeah, but the question is just like, have we been holding back on the playbook? Basically,
I mean, I wouldn't say that we've been holding back. I think that we're just like selectively pulling things out at various times of need based on what the situation is dictating. For example, I would say that we got a little bit more exotic on 4th down and goal rather than running it up the middle for 8 straight plays. We rolled out, and is that exotic? No, not in the slightest. It's pretty basic, actually.
Right.
Literally every team has that play in their playbook, right?
Right.
But it was exotic from a sense that it bucked the trend that Georgia has been leveraging on goal line plays all season long.
Yeah.
I just think that we're just in a situation where I hesitate to say impose our will, but we really are imposing our will. You just don't realize that we're imposing our will. We want you to labor to win this game. And the more you labor to win this game, the better. I think that you put it like succinctly, like Kentucky went on a 13-minute drive that was in effect the Kirby Smart death march on themselves.
Right. Yeah.
It's that kind of things. Those are the kinds of things that are gonna make or break the game, in my opinion. Is how effectively do you think you can put? Because in order to beat Georgia, you're gonna have to put 27 points on this defense to even like come within striking distance of us. Do you really think that LSU is going to do that? And I don't believe that they're going to.
Fair enough. All right, John, now it is time.
Oh my God!
Robert Beal.
Trying to put glasses on it.
It's time for Coach Trillbill's over-unders. So now I'm going to remind you what we forgot to talk about in the tech review. You got to meet Coach Trillbill in person in the Georgia Tech game.
Finally.
Had a nice halftime chat with Coach in our section, and also got to enjoy God Bless America together. That happened while we were hanging out, which is a beautiful rendition, by the way. That was pretty cool.
Is that normal for home games? This is my first. I was about to say I didn't think that was normal, right?
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah. Good stuff. We did see the halftime show. Didn't mention it on the previous one, but they had like a unification like halftime show, right?
Yeah, both bands were out there. Yeah.
That was. I'll be interested to see if Nathan over at Chapel Bell has anything to say about that.
Yeah, true. I'm sure he will. So, all right, let's see. All right, so for Coach, so starting with the offense, Passing yards, over, under. Oh, wait. Before I start with there, do you want me to go first? You have the floor because you're in the lead.
I'll go first on.
You're going to go first. Okay.
I'll go first on the passing yard situation.
Over, under 275 passing yards for Georgia.
Under.
Okay. I have a cheat sheet that I lost. Over. Next up, over, under 200 rushing yards for Georgia. I'm going to go over.
I'm going over.
Okay. Next up, your turn. Over, under 2.5 Georgia players that score.
Over.
Agreed. Over. Switching to the defense, over, under 1.5 forced turnovers for the Georgia defense. Oh, my turn. Sorry.
I was going to say, your turn or my turn?
My bad. I'm going to go under 1.5 forced turnovers.
Are we counting fourth downs? I forgot.
No, that's not. That doesn't count.
Okay. What is LSU? Check. You said 1.5?
Yep.
I'll go under.
Okay. Then you're up next. Over, under 325 total yards for Jaden Daniels.
For Jaden Daniels?
Mm-hmm.
Under.
Agreed. Under. And his total yards, I told you, like we said, he's the leading rusher and passer.
Did you tell the people? Did you tell the people the impact numbers?
Not yet. Over, under LSU first half points. Over, under 9.5. My turn, right? I'm going to go under.
I'll also go under.
Okay. And then on to special teams. This is with you. Jackpot field goals made. Over, under 2.5.
Over.
Agreed. And then last one, miscellaneous. CBS camera crew showing Brian Kelly yelling. Over, under 3.5 times. And I say slam the over.
I guess that depends on your definition of yelling.
Dude, Brian Kelly. Okay. You pick whatever you want, John.
Yeah, I go over.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, Coach, it was great to see you on Saturday. Glad you and John got to meet. That was a lot of fun. Let's see. Time for the final predictions. So let's see. Our friends at Chapel Bell Curve with their CBC R2 Sam have a predicted score of Georgia 33 to LSU 14.3. The line right now is Georgia minus 17.5 with an over under of 50.5. That gives an implied score of Georgia 34 to LSU 16.5. The predicted score on OddsShark was crazy to me. I don't know if you saw this, John. They've got Georgia 44.2 to LSU 30.6. I definitely did a double take. That seems odd to me. But so that would be obviously a Georgia win, an LSU cover, and then that would hit the over. So as far as what you were asking about, the scoring impact that I've been tracking. So the latest numbers on that, again, dealing with Power 5. On average, Georgia is holding opponents to 15.82 points less than what they average against the Power 5. And Georgia has been scoring 10.08 more points against teams than what they allow scoring on the Power 5. So that would give us, if we apply those scoring impacts here, it would be Georgia 35.74 to Tech 11.5. So it would be like 36 to 12 ish if you apply that to LSU's averages throughout the season. So I've been pretty much kind of going with that, and I agree with you. Like I think LSU, I think they jumped up the rankings. They had a bit of a run there, but I think they're in year one under Brian Kelly, right? They're learning the system. I think they got here a little bit too early as far as what they're like ready for. I don't think they're quite ready for this Georgia team. So again, like we said, protect the ball, win the game. I've got Georgia 37, LSU 14.
I'm going 36-14.
So we're 1 point off. I like it.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. Let's look around conference championship weekend. So other matchups of interest. So let's just look at the rest of the Power 5, because there's huge playoff implications with all of these. So Friday night, you've got the Pac-12 championship game, USC against Utah. Utah was one of my playoff picks. That's obviously not going to happen. But USC is only a 3-point favorite in this game. Who you got there?
I got USC, but winning that one pretty handily.
Really interesting.
Mm-hmm. I mean, -3. All right, so here's my rationale. Like this Caleb Williams guy, right? Like he's allegedly the Heisman front runner.
Mm-hmm.
-3 versus Utah, and you're the Heisman front runner. I just don't see it. I expect them to win more.
Got it. Okay. I will say CBCR2 actually predicts they've got a Utah win in this game for what it's worth. I'm going to sway from that. I do think USC wins. But I'm going to go with USC, but Utah's pretty good. I'm just kind of hanging on to my playoff pick. Sorry.
If that happens, all right. So let me ask you this question: There's where are we at, like with the Heisman like odds or whatever?
What do you mean?
Like where are the Heisman odds like to win the Heisman? Like, do we know what the betting odds are for?
Oh, I have no one. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, it's Caleb Williams right now. I mean, he's by far and away the front runner.
Okay, so
one player does not a team make, though, John. USC's defense is pretty trash.
Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud, Max Duggan, which you figure CJ Stroud probably lost it last week.
But what's your angle here? You're just saying that if he's the Heisman front runner, he should win this game?
If they lose this game, I think that rules him out of winning the Heisman, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Hopefully he's more motivated by the playoff than the Heisman.
So if that's the case, that means that it would fall to, from an odds standpoint, it would fall to Max Duggan of TCU and one Stetson Bennett.
That would be amazing.
I mean,
yeah.
Those are the odds right now, right? Like I'm looking at the odds. Like I don't see anybody else on here. Like you got Will Anderson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Hendon Hooker, Jalen Daniels, Max Duggan, CJ Stroud, Caleb Williams. Like who else wins the Heisman? It's almost like if USC loses this game, if you're a Georgia fan, you almost want to root for chaos here, because I would love for Stetson Bennett to take the stage in New York and take that Heisman Trophy home and just absolutely just ride off into the sunset with another national championship and a Heisman Trophy. Holy shit. That'd be a dream come true. And not to mention, like, could you just imagine? Like we talked about like the Disney movie last year, but like now the story's getting even better.
Right.
But wait, there's more.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I was actually thinking about the Stetson movie the other day and who's gonna play him and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's fair. Here's my only warning for chaos is if true chaos happens, Alabama's getting in. And I mean, I guess at this point, who cares? But just letting you know. Big 12 championship game is 12 o'clock on Saturday on ABC. TCU against Kansas State, another tight line. TCU is only favored by 2.5. Kansas State is they're pretty highly ranked. I think they're close to the top 10. I think they were 12 last week. So I'm gonna pick TCU, and part of that is just because I want their story to continue, and I want them in the opening round of playoff. But
I have a feeling TCU will take that. Yeah,
I think they will too. I think the ride continues with Sonny Dykes in year one there as well. Let's see, ACC championship game, a lot less meaningful now after both of these teams coming off a loss. So we had Clemson, the latest victim of South Carolina. UNC lost in, I think, double overtime to NC State this past weekend. So this was a game that before last weekend, you thought that the winner had an outside shot at the playoff, actually, if things went their way with some other help, but not so much anymore. Clemson's favored by 7.5. I'm going to take Clemson in this one. I'm being boring on these.
Yeah, Clemson. I'll take Clemson on that one. And Big Ten championship, Michigan versus Purdue. I'm going Michigan too.
Yeah, Michigan. Yeah. Those two aren't quite as intriguing as the other as the other two. So you got Pac-12, Big 12 championship, huge playoff implications. So we'll see what happens there. And then watch out for the playoff ranking on Tuesday night. Curious to see. I think we know what the top 4 is going to be. My question is who's going to be number 5? You think it'll be Ohio State or Alabama?
Number 5, Ohio State for sure.
I agree. It should be. So
I mean,
we'll watch out for that.
It easily should be.
I agree, but we've got Ohio State homer Kirk Herbstreit saying it should be Alabama. So we'll see.
Maybe he's saying that in the sense that like the Ohio State schedule like actually hasn't been all that challenging. So
yeah, but I don't see how you can put a 2-loss Alabama ahead of 1-loss Ohio State.
Yes,
and that's just me. I don't get it.
Agreed.
All right, man. Well, heading into the SEC championship, a chance, like we've talked about multiple times, right? A chance for this team to do something that the best team at Georgia since 1980 wasn't able to do. There's not a championship is on the line, right? I don't think a playoff spot is on the line. I think Georgia gets in regardless of the outcome of this game against LSU. But for me at least, that SEC championship means something. So I think there is a lot on the line, a lot of motivating factors for these players. And like we've talked about, right? Like they have been up for the games against the big time opponents. They've been up for these. When they get up for a game, they play a different brand of football. And I'm expecting to see that on Saturday.
I agree, man. Let's head into the CFP with riding high.
Agreed.
I have a feeling that there will be a little bit more chaos between now and then, but it just is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, hey, I know. So you got the soccer stuff going on Saturday, but I'm sure we'll be texting throughout the game like we always do. And looking forward to it, man.
For sure, man. We're just gonna try to catch a tiger by the tail and fling him around until he's dead.
Nice.
That's all there is to say. Go Dogs. Control the ball, and win the game.
Control the ball, win the game. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.